You ever look at a stone and feel like it's looking back at you? Not in a poetic way. I mean actually looking back. Like something left behind in an instruction manual carved into the bedrock. And humanity's been too busy to notice. That's Baalbek. Out in Lebanon, there's this platform that doesn't make any sense. It's not just big, it's disrespectfully big. Blocks the size of buses, stacked like Legos by someone with some fucking upper body strength. The stone of the pregnant woman, that's what the locals call it, sits in a quarry like a flex. 1,200 tons of stone. Nobody in recorded Roman history ever wrote down, "We moved a 1,000-ton block uphill." They bragged about aqueducts and conquest, sure, but someone forgot to mention lifting mountains. It's definitely on my fucking bucket list. These stones vibrate with the same frequency as Earth itself, like they're tuned to the planet's heartbeat. The more you realize, this wasn't random. Somebody or something understood frequency way before Wi-Fi. Modern historians keep talking some shit saying Roman foundation. Cool story. But the Romans built on it. They didn't build it. They slapped their temples on top of something older. Something they didn't understand, but they could feel. Because power recognizes power, even if it can't explain it. You ever notice how the ancient sites have that same pattern? Egypt, pyramids on top of older ruins. Machu Picchu, Incan walls, sitting on pre-Incan stone, that's smoother and tighter. It's like every new civilization just walked up and said, yeah, let's make it a church. That's Baalbek, a riddle that refuses to die. And people love to call it a temple to Jupiter. Sometimes you build something because it's sacred. Sometimes you build because it does something. The old myths called it Heliopolis, city of the sun. But go deeper. The name Baalbek literally means Lord of the Fortress. Not temple, not shrine. Fortress. Something that holds. Something that protects. Or contains. Now the Stargate theory says that Baalbek wasn't a temple at all. It was a landing pad. A place where the gods, or call them what you want, travelers, interdimensional beings, they came down. It was fire, vibration, and light. Ancient people saw that and said, yeah, that's a god. Of course they did. If an F-22 landed in 2000 BC, you would probably sacrifice a goat to it. But here's the thing. Every ancient culture tells that same story. Different languages. Same beats. The sky opens. The bright ones descend. They teach math, agriculture, astronomy, law. And then they vanish. Sumer calls them the Anunnaki. Egypt calls them the Neteru. India calls them the Devas. Mesoamerica calls them the Shining Serpents. Different masks, same shit. And Baalbek, it's right in the middle of that. Perfectly aligned with Giza, with Ur, with the axis of the planet itself. You can trace a line from Baalbek to the Great Pyramid and keep going. Every major megalithic site sits along that grid, like somebody plotted a global circuit board. Tell me that's coincidence.
Nope.
Think about the precision. Those blocks aren't just huge. They're fucking laser fit. No mortar, no filler, and no tolerance for error. We build skyscrapers that are fucking starting to fall apart before they're even done. And these people stacked mountains so tight they still survive earthquakes. That's not brute force. That's knowledge. The mainstream says it's ropes and manpower. Sure. Because nothing says efficiency like 10,000 guys dragging a fucking mountain with hemp string uphill. No pulleys, no cranes, just ancient CrossFit. You'd think someone would have drawn that too, but no. The walls are covered in gods holding tuning forks and sound bowls. Maybe they didn't lift the stones. Maybe they tuned them. You ever hear of sonic levitation? Modern science has replicated it on a small scale. Ultrasound waves, suspending objects mid-air. Now scale that up with resonance chambers and harmonics that shake atoms. Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. He wasn't being poetic. He was handing us the cheat code. And Baalbek looks like it was built by someone who already knew that code. We call it lost technology, but maybe it isn't lost. Maybe it's just suppressed. Because if you can build energy directly from the planet's vibration, you don't need oil. You don't need grids. You don't need control. And the people who sell control fucking hate that. Every empire after the ancients, Romans, Ottomans, colonials, they all built over Baalbek, claimed it, and renamed it. Not to worship there, but to own the narrative. Because you can't let people think their ancestors talked to the stars. You need them to believe that progress only moves forward, never backward. And that's how you sell them civilization. But history's a loop. Every few thousand years we climb the same hill, build the same towers, and crash the same way. Floods, fires, resets. And each time, a few stones survive. Think of it like the ultimate USB drives, but they have corroded files. Baalbek's one of those drives. You know what really fucking pisses me off? People look at those blocks and say, maybe they just had more slaves. That's how we cope with the impossible. We make it uglier so it feels achievable. Same with the pyramids. Yeah, tens of thousands of slaves did it. You can't even get 10,000 people to agree on pizza toppings. You think they synchronize backbreaking labor? Come on. Whenever humanity finds something that doesn't fit the narrative, we either destroy it, bury it, or domesticate it. The Library of Alexandria, burned. The Baghdad Museum, looted. Megalithic anomalies, dismissed as ritual sites. Everything becomes a temple. Because if you can't explain it, call it religion and move on. But what if those temples were engines, energy converters, resonance amplifiers? Maybe Baalbek was the Tesla coil of the ancient world, humming in sync with the planet's Schumann resonance. That's 7.83 hertz background frequency. Scientists can even measure today. Maybe that's what people heard as the voice of God. And us, sitting in our air-conditioned arrogance, can't hear it anymore because there's so much other fucking noise. Now zoom out. Every site built like Baalbek sits on energy nodes, ley lines, magnetic anomalies. Call them what you will. Giza, Stonehenge, Tiwanaku, Angkor, Baalbek, all perched on the planet's neural network. You ever wonder if Earth's alive and those sites are her chakras? Maybe the ancients weren't worshiping gods. Maybe they were maintaining planetary health. And us, humanity 2.0, showed up like fucking toddlers with crayons. People always ask, if they were so advanced, where's the tech? You're standing on it. Stone doesn't rot. Metal does. Electronics turn to dust. But stone hums forever. Maybe the tech is the architecture. Maybe those platforms were built to interact with frequency. Energy flowing through them like circuits. When you hit the right tone, the whole system activates. Sounds crazy, I know. So did the idea of invisible radio waves once. So did flight. So did the internet. So did telephones. Every miracle becomes science once it's profitable. Now I'm gonna drift for a second, alright? Because this is where people start tuning out. But it's where the fun starts. What if consciousness itself is a frequency? What if Baalbek wasn't just a stargate for bodies, but for minds? A consciousness amplifier. You stand there, the frequency aligns, the veil thins, and boom, you see what the ancients saw. The doorway isn't out there, it's in vibration. We chase that now with ayahuasca and with DMT. The ancients built it into the landscape, and when you think about it, that makes more sense than anything. Why else build so huge? Because resonance needs mass. Big stone equals deep frequency. The same way a big drum shakes the ground while a piccolo just squeaks. Baalbek was a bass note in the planetary symphony. Maybe when it was active, you could feel it worldwide. The hum that connected everything. And that hum is what we keep trying to recreate with technology. Radio, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, AI. All synthetic attempts to rebuild the original network, consciousness. That's why these sites call the people. Ever notice how tourists cry at Machu Picchu or Giza? It's not just, wow, old rocks. It's memory. Something in their DNA. Scientists say we carry ancestral trauma. Maybe we also carry ancestral signal. Maybe when you stand on Baalbek, you're booting up a backup file of humanity that's been dormant for millennia. And here's where I lose most skeptics, but I don't give a shit. Because this is the part that hits in the gut. If our ancestors could harness the planet's frequency to open dimensional doors, what did they see through them? And did it scare them enough to shut the whole thing down? Because legends of floods, cataclysms, divine punishment, they all sound like the universe saying, y'all opened something you weren't ready for. Atlantis sinks, Babel falls. Maybe those are just poetic patch notes from the last software crash. I mean, look at CERN now. A 17-mile ring underground smashing particles together, looking for the God particle. They built a modern Baalbek, a giant circular frequency machine trying to open microportals. And when they first fired it up, lightning storms went off across Europe. Coincidence? Maybe. But history loves to rhyme. You ever wonder if Baalbek stones are the physical remains of that same idea? A planetary scale collider without the steel. Just frequency and geometry. They didn't need cables. They used the planet's own grid. We keep calling them primitive because it keeps us comfortable. Because if they weren't, then we are not the pinnacle. We're the reboot. A copy of a copy with half the features missing. And that's what really gets at me. We measure progress by how fast we can destroy ourselves. They measured it by how long their structures could outlast them. Who's really advanced? But we don't listen. We drown it out with engines, politics, and Wi-Fi signals. We don't hear the Earth anymore. And the Earth doesn't hear us. Maybe that's the real Stargate. Not a portal you walk through. A connection you remember. The one between matter and mind. Frequency and flesh. And when that reconnects, maybe you don't go anywhere. Maybe everywhere comes to you. And here's the twist nobody likes to talk about. Baalbek might not even be the oldest player in the game. It's just the loudest one still standing. You trace the blueprints back far enough, and the fingerprints start showing up everywhere. Cuneiform tablets, half-erased glyphs. Take the Sumerians, 6,000 years ago. They were already writing about those who came down from the heavens. Not praying, documenting. The way they describe it, the Anunnaki didn't descend in clouds. They landed on Eden, the abode of righteousness. Sounds suspiciously like a launch pad to me. They talk about genetic modification like it was a Tuesday meeting. We took the beings of Earth, mixed the essence of the gods, and made workers. Translation: we accidentally built humanity because the interns got creative. And then, when you line those dates up, Baalbek would have been their perfect pit stop, a relay hub between Mesopotamia and the Mediterranean. Picture a network of ancient airports, each with its own flavor. Giza handling the solar traffic, Baalbek the thunder routes, Göbekli Tepe the cosmic customs office. You fly in from Orion, declare your species, grab a pomegranate, and head for Earth 2.0. Egypt caught the same bug. The preset Abydos carved what looks like helicopters and tanks, and everyone pretends it's palimpsest. And the Great Pyramid, it's a frequency modulator wearing a limestone tuxedo. Granite chambers resonate at exactly 432 Hz when you hit the right note. That's the same tone modern sound engineers call the healing frequency. Maybe Pharaoh wasn't trying to reach heaven. And then we hit Tesla. Tesla figured out you could pull power straight from the ionosphere, the same invisible field Baalbek's stones might have been humming with. And what happened? His lab mysteriously burns. His patents vanish into a black hole of classified archives. And suddenly, we're all paying monthly for the thing the sky already gives us for free. It's not a conspiracy when it keeps happening. The ancients built stuff that outlasted earthquakes. We built stuff that collapses if you lean on it wrong. Maybe durability was the message. They knew entropy was coming, so they wrote the truth in stone, because paper and pride burn too easily. And every time I talk about this, someone always says, "Oh, aliens built it?" No, I'm saying we did. When we were still connected to the source code. Maybe consciousness was once broadband, and now we're all on dial-up. Every few millennia we rediscover the password, log in, freak out, and pull the plug. Baalbek might just be the reminder. And if you stand here long enough and really listen, you can hear history mocking us. You guys built skyscrapers out of glass. How long do you think that's gonna last? Maybe the Stargate was never about traveling through space. Maybe it's the universe's way of saying, update available. And we just keep hitting remind me later. That's it for this episode, y'all. If you like the show, hit that follow. Share it with a friend.